Hello everybody, welcome back to another weather video. Today we take a look across the country as historic cold comes down from the Arctic just in time to affect travels and plans for Christmas Eve and day, and a potential historic lake effect system setting up for parts of Buffalo and Watertown. Now, as we look across the country, in the shade of blue here, you have your wind chill warnings that stretches all the way back into the Rockies, all the way back into western PA, almost all of West Virginia, Northwest Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Arkansas, back into Oklahoma, and down in the lighter blue is your wind chill advisories that stretch down into Texas and New Mexico. And down into central and southern parts of Texas, you also have your wind chill warning again. In the purple, your hard freeze warnings, that is in, once again, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. And this light blue here is your freeze watch that's in central Florida. And as we go into the Northeast, we have a high wind warnings, watch, and advisories that stretch all the way down from Maine, all the way down into Long Island and central parts of New York. And now into the Midwest, we have our in the red here on the lakes are blizzard warnings, and in the UP, and then back into Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, and northern Iowa and Wisconsin are also in the blizzard warnings. And in the pink here, this is a winter storm warning that is in southern Iowa, Illinois, southeastern part of southeastern part of Missouri, Kentucky, Ohio, and back into Michigan and the UP. And notice here by Buffalo and Watertown here in these areas by the lakes also have a blizzard warning for the lake effect that is going to be setting up for that part of the region. If we take a look at the current radar right now, you can see on the central part of our screen here, we have a winter storm that is going on that is affecting the Midwest, and that is going to be shaping up to be a very nice snowstorm for parts of Michigan and the UP, especially once it gets into this part of the country and gets wound up into a very strong storm that is going to be affecting that area, which is going to be causing heavy lake effect snow in this region. Let me change the color just so you guys can see it better. I'll go red. In this part of the country right here is going to be a very heavy lake effect machine going on. I'll show you totals from model projections that could happen and could not happen. And on top of this, you're going to have very strong winds. This is your current temperature map as they start to load. You could see, let me zoom in a little. This is your current temperatures. This is not your real feel. Your current temperatures, all of Iowa, almost all Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and northern parts of Oklahoma are all in the negatives as of 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This Arctic front means business and is going to be causing very cold air to come through. No, look how close this is to the boundary right here. This is your cold front right here, 53 on the southern part of it, and on the northern side, it's already 37 degrees, even though it just passed by the front 30 minutes to an hour ago. Dallas, you are around 14 to 19 degrees. Let me see if I can get a better reading by zooming in. Yeah, so you're in the 12 to 14 degree range, and this 58 degree is definitely not correct. Let me see. Yeah, this is definitely an old reading, or it broke or something. It's having a hard time. Yeah, just like this in South Dakota, it's definitely not 61 degrees. I know they wish it was 61 degrees, but it's more like negative 15 degrees. In Michigan, once again, your temperatures aren't as cold because the front is passing by, and you also have your low pressure nearby, drawing in warmer air, and it is also snowing, so that also prevents it from getting too cold. But it is possible it would be in the negatives and snowing, as you can see here by Chicago. It is in +3, but just south and east, it is -3. And yeah, that's pretty much does it for the Midwest. As we make our way to the Northeast, though, our cold front hasn't passed through. A warm front is actually going through, causing snow to go to rain. This was all snow before about 12-ish, but as the warm front passed through, the warm air eroded away the cold air and caused the snow to go from rain. There was some 5, 6 inch totals in PA I saw, which was rather impressive. for a quick dumping that went through. But once this storm and the cold front starts to get through, I'll show you what the temperatures are going to be like and a real feel for the Northeast. And it's going to get just as cold as Midwest. Obviously, along the coast, you shouldn't get into the negatives, but you should get into the single digits depending on which model you look at. But I do think coastal Connecticut, Long Island, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and possibly New Jersey could get into the single digits. As we make our way to the southeast, you can see parts of Alabama is just getting through that cold front, and in Mississippi, it is in fact snowing. It is snowing in parts of Mississippi, and it is raining in parts of New Hampshire and northern parts of New York near Watertown. It is raining, which is crazy to think about, but due to the strong Arctic front coming through, that's a big reason why that is happening. Southern Florida is 70s, upper 70s, middle 70s, which I'm sure parts of the country wishes they were at right now compared to negative 15 in North Dakota. But yeah, don't worry. Florida is going to get in on this too, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a little bit. The Carolinas are in the middle to upper 40s, some readings of 50 degrees, and even a reading up to 60 degrees if that is true by Kitty Hawk in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And once again, in the mountains of Virginia, West Virginia, it is a mix bag of precip that is going on, and eventually that will even turn over to rain. This is the feel like temperatures right now. Not the current temperatures, but the feel like temperatures. Minneapolis, as of 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you are at negative 27 degrees, it feels like. Chicago, negative 15. Milwaukee, negative 21. Parts of Montana, negative 43, negative 45 degrees feels like temperatures. The Rockies, negative 51 degrees. This is substantial, historic cold that is coming through parts of the country right now. If we go a little bit more zoomed in, this is where our cold front is. Let me zoom out real quick. This is where our cold front is. It is clear as day where it is. Let me get the highlighter out. Clear as day where our cold front is, right here. Low pressure is right here as well. That's our low pressure system that is going to be driving up the cold front as well, and behind it, tremendous amounts of cold. Even Seattle and Portland. Seattle 12 degrees it feels like. Portland 4 degrees it feels like. Only place that can really escape this right now, for now, is coastal parts of the mid-Atlantic and southeast. But even then, once this passes through this front, it's going to be very cold. It's going to feel like negative 10, 20 degrees. Even some parts of the coast are going to feel like that as well. If you want to zoom in on the Northeast real quick, what I feel like temperatures are, by Albany, 27 degrees, Syracuse, 26. Northern parts of Maine is always cold, so I'm not surprised. Feels like 3 degrees and snowing. Virginia Beach, 59. And down by Miami, it feels like 78 degrees. But just look at the sharp cutoff. This is our cold front right here, 48 degrees. Just north and west by 50 or so miles, not even. 38 degrees, it feels like. This is substantial cold. And if we want to zoom in on our actual map, you can see, let me see if I can get a reading. 42, 48, 55. Not even, let's give or take 50 miles, right? That is very sharp cutoffs, and we're going to drop rapidly. Once this front passes, temperatures are going to drop rapidly within the hour. I'd say maybe rates of 4 to 5 degrees per hour, if not higher. In parts of Wyoming, I saw it drop 30 degrees in an hour, which is crazy to think about. It went from 30 degrees to 0 in parts of Wyoming. And if you want to take a quick look at Wyoming right now, the actual temperature, it is negative 29 degrees as the actual temperature. I don't know why I didn't just look at this before. Negative 29, that is crazy. It's snowing in Seattle too, which is kind of cool. Negative 29 in northwestern parts of Wyoming and Montana. If you want to take a look at the NAM model, where it's going to project our temperatures throughout the day, today and into tomorrow. This is as of 1 p.m. Thursday today. And if we want to go to right now, this is where our temperatures are at right now. So I would say it's actually colder, believe it or not. It's off by a couple degrees. It is like 2 to 3 degrees colder. If you want to match it up with the map right now, zoom in a little bit here in this region. Chicago, where'd that reading go? It was 3 degrees. Just north of Chicago is 3 degrees. And if we want to go here, it projected around 5 degrees. So 2 degrees colder there. And if we want to go to the most northeastern parts of Missouri, yeah. It had -4 and it's like -10. It's -9 or -10 in this region. -10. So we are running 2 to 4 degrees below than what we are projected, and possibly higher in other spots, according to the NAM model and comparing it to the current temperatures. And if you want to fast forward this to 10 a.m. Friday, this is where front is. Clear as day. Right here. This is where our front is, and that stretches down all the way into the Gulf states. You can see Central PA can range from either way from 26, 40 degrees in Eastern PA, and if you want to go back into Western PA, 5 degrees. And if you want to keep going throughout the day today, on Friday, we can see that as 5 p.m. our cold front has reached the coast, and we are in the teens. Western PA is negative temperatures. Central PA is in the teens to single digits. Eastern PA, same thing. And if you want to look in Minnesota, for example, our actual temperatures is -10 degrees Fahrenheit. And if we want to continue, you can see the coast does get down, at least on Long Island and New Jersey that I'm looking at right now, does get into the single digits. You can see here on the zoom up, 10 degrees on the coast of New Jersey, Long Island 8. Let me see. Yeah, that's the lowest it pretty much gets. And upstate New York, negatives. Western PA, -6. Southwestern part of New York is also, southwestern part of New York is -4 degrees as well. If you want to go to apparent temperatures and roll back, you can see really, really historic cold right here. It's at 12 p.m. Friday. It's going to feel like -37 in Minnesota, -28-ish in Chicago, -22 in Cleveland, -19 in Pittsburgh, or maybe a little colder. I think it's right here, Pittsburgh. So maybe -20, 21 degrees. Philly, you're just getting into the cold, so I think you're at like 17 degrees here. And into Indianapolis, we're around -26 degrees, and in Detroit, we're around -17 degrees. And Milwaukee's and Green Bay are in -30 degree temperatures. If you want to keep going throughout the day and see throughout the night, you can see this is pretty much where the coldest gets. This is your negative line right here. This is your negative feel-like temperatures. Look how far south this gets. That gets into central Georgia and northern parts of Carolina, Mississippi, and Alabama. Crazy, crazy, crazy cold. This is for Christmas Eve, 7 a.m. Anywhere in the gray to this greenish tint color, neonish, this is where our negatives are. And notice, why you may be asking, why is this area warmer than areas down in the south? It's because our low pressure system's right up here, and it is drawing down and throwing in some warmer air. So that is also why it is warmer in that region. It's also having precipitation come down, so it's also warming it aloft. But historic cold. And if we want to zoom in the northeast, we'll start zooming in places so people can get a look at this. This is probably the peak of cold right here. -10 Long Island. Boston, it's either -1 or -0. Philly, -13. New York, -11. Albany, -10. Buffalo, I would say -15. Watertown, -11. Pittsburgh, -22. DC and Baltimore, both -8. And if we want to go back into Cleveland, -20. If we want to go back into the deep south, these are all your temperatures. Atlanta, -4-ish. -4 to -6-ish. It all depends on elevation in that region. If we want to go into Illinois and in Indiana close up, these are your temperatures. Chicago, -22, -24. Detroit, -20, which is crazy. Well, that part of the country is actually kind of used to it, so I'm not surprised. These are your temperatures in North Plains at -40. Feels like South Carolina, Ohio Valley. This is your close up pretty much. It was perfect. Look at all this. This line here that stretches all the way back into Iowa and into pretty much central PA and southwestern part of New York. This is your -20 line. I can't believe I'm even saying that. -20 line. Right here. -20. Feels like temperature. 7 a.m. Christmas Eve. That's historic cold. And then you're having a snowstorm on top of this. Which, here, by the way, this is your totals for your snowstorm that is going on. From that is yet to fall. You can see not really much compared to what was going on a couple days ago. There was probably a foot plus projected a couple days ago because the storm was going to get wound up quicker and become stronger and deeper. But now it only looks like a few inches for Chicago. But the Great Lakes, completely forgot to zoom in. I gotta zoom in on this. I gotta find Buffalo. Buffalo. If this is correct, and you want to go to the, oh my god, I haven't seen this yet. 99.5 inches of snow, which I'm not too sure if that's correct, if that will actually happen. But every run that I've looked at so far has gone up. If you want to look back at the last one, 94. If you want to go back one more, 92 and 3, 69. So it has been progressively getting higher and higher each run at that same time. I can't say this is Kuchera. I'm not sure if that's going to verify, so I'm just going to go back down to 10 to 1. Even if it's only 45 inches of snow, this is crazy. And then you're going to have a huge amounts of wind with this. You're going to have 50, 60 mile an hour wind gusts with this. It is going to be blizzard winter wonderland action that is going to be going on in Buffalo and Watertown. Which, let me actually zoom in on Watertown if they don't have Watertown? It's crazy. And if we zoom in the Northeast because they don't have Watertown, it's gonna be even higher. It's gonna be like 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Watertown. Watertown's not gonna get as much. It looks like it's still gonna get like close to a foot, but that is still crazy. That much. That's just crazy to me. Unfathomable. And I'm not sure if the HRRR is ready. I'll take a quick look to see if it's fully out. It's out a good chunk. So I will zoom in on Buffalo for this, even though it's not fully out, I know. But if you want to compare it to last run, see, oh, I'm sorry, you can't look at it. Yeah, it's not all the way out. But still, that is crazy, crazy, crazy. Cold, wind, and snow coming for Buffalo. And if we want to take one last look at the temperatures for the region, actually gets it down to 5 degrees on the coastal part of New York, Long Island, New Jersey, and I can only imagine what that feels like. Oh my god, that feels like a -13, 17. The more runs, the more closer we get to this cold, the worse it's getting. I hope everybody has great Christmas Eve and day. Please stay safe throughout this. This is really something to not mess with. Your life could be in grave danger with this. Either it comes with the cold, the snow, the wind. Stay safe. Enjoy the holidays. Enjoy your family, and have a great